John.
All right, a Coast Guard lieutenant and a self-described white nationalist is due to appear in court today. Federal prosecutors call him a domestic terrorist who stockpiled a big cache of weapons and was planning a mass killing with several political and media figures on his hit list. Our Jessica Snyder live in Washington with the very latest here. Jessica.
Yeah, John, and this man prosecutors say was planning mass murder was at the same time going to work every day at Coast Guard headquarters here in Washington, D.C. Now, when the Coast Guard eventually noticed red flags, they launched an investigation, and agents discovered an arsenal in the suspect's apartment. Court documents providing chilling details about a Coast Guard lieutenant who prosecutors say hoped to murder innocent civilians on a scale rarely seen in this country before being arrested in Maryland last week. 49-year-old Christopher Hasson is facing federal charges of illegal possession of a firearm and possession of a controlled substance. But prosecutors say these charges are just the tip of the iceberg, writing, "The defendant is a domestic terrorist bent on committing acts dangerous to human life that are intended to affect government conduct." Investigators say they found this hit list on Hasson's computer, containing names of prominent Democrats, including House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, and Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, as well as a number of 2020 Democratic candidates, including Senators Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, and Kirsten Gillibrand. The list also containing the names of several journalists from CNN and MSNBC. Federal agents say they found 15 firearms and more than 1,000 rounds of ammunition in Hasson's Maryland apartment, in addition to a stockpile of steroids the government says Hasson was using to increase his ability to conduct attacks. In emails outlined in court filings, Hasson calls himself a white nationalist and was inspired by a manifesto written by Anders Breivik, a Norwegian terrorist convicted of killing 77 people in 2011. Prosecutors say roughly a month before his arrest, Hasson Googled topics including, "Are Supreme Court justices protected? Where do most senators live in D.C.? And civil war if Trump impeached." And Lieutenant Hasson will be in court this afternoon in Maryland for a detention hearing. Prosecutors are pushing the judge to keep him behind bars because of the major threat they say he poses. John?
All right, Jessica Snyder for us in Washington. I want to bring in Lisa Monaco, the former assistant to the president for Homeland Security and Counterterrorism under President Obama. And Lisa, you're also a career federal prosecutor. I want to read you the first line of this detention memo. It says, "The defendant intends to murder innocent civilians on a scale rarely seen in this country. He must be detained pending trial." That is chilling. Lisa, what does it tell you?
Well, good morning, John. It is stunning. That first line of that detention memo really took my breath away. As you mentioned, I was a career federal prosecutor. I also oversaw all terrorism and national security prosecutions nationwide when I was in the Justice Department. And I have never seen a detention memo start with a sentence like that. So that was really stunning.
And we put up the target list. We know that this man had been looking into media figures, Democratic political figures. We also know that he had been reading the manifesto from a European terrorist, that 1,500-page manifesto from Anders Breivik. What does that tell you?
Well, the Breivik focus is really interesting to me. You know, the Breivik incident happened and his attacks happened, 77 people killed in Norway, happened in 2011. And so that was when I was in the Justice Department and I was very focused on that case. But it is not a household name when it comes to terrorism cases. So it says to me that this Hasson guy is pretty committed, pretty focused, and he was following this manifesto almost to a T in a very tactical sense.
Very tactical sense. He was stockpiling performance-enhancing drugs because Breivik suggested that and diet somehow put you in a better frame of mind to carry out terror attacks. The environment in this country right now, some people consider a toxic environment. How do you think that will play into this case?
Well, we're going to have to see how this case unfolds, John, but there's no doubt that this arrest and this detention that the government is seeking today in the hearing is in line with a rise that we've seen in domestic extremism and hate crimes over time. In 2017, we saw a threefold increase by some measures in far-right extremist attacks. So this is consistent with those trends and really quite concerning to folks who focus on domestic terrorism.
And very quickly, we still don't know exactly how this came to light, how this crossed the transom of law enforcement. Why is that important to you?
that is one of the big questions I have. You know, how did this guy come on law enforcement's radar? Did he, was there a tip? Was there somebody at work who saw something strange? Was he under surveillance for some other reasons? Well, it looks like he was buying drugs from individuals outside of this country. Were those people under surveillance? So all of those things are big questions.
Lisa Monaco, thank you very much for being with us. We're going to stay on this case. Allison.
Thanks.
Okay, John, our next big